Hey kids, we just had EVO 2025, the greatest event where fighting games professionals clash and companies reveal their new titles and updates for beloved fighters. A month ago. And I'm only talking about it now, when nobody cares about it anymore. Look, I just got Baldur's Gate 3 and I was playing it, alright? This game consumed my life for the past few weeks. I didn't sleep, or eat, or bathe, nor did I make new videos. It's all Baldur's Gate's fault! Shadowheart, I blame thee! Oh, I could never be mad at you, my delicious goth elf. Regardless, how many of you love fighting games? And how many of you have OCD? Me too! I have OCD and I hate EVO! They are always announcing new DLC characters for games I haven't touched in months, and now, thanks to my stupid, chemically unbalanced brain, I have to spend money on those characters or else my game won't be complete. God damn you, brain! I don't need Lucy in my Guilty Gear Strive, but I need her! So, now that fighting games are equivalent to long-time relationships, that is, we need to spend years of our lives and a lot of money if we want them to be properly fulfilling, EVO has become a haven for producers and companies to dump season after season of new content, avoiding having to work on a new title for years on end, as they milk their latest property until the others turn to dust in their hands. In 2025, year of our Lord, I say unto thee, and I have to specify the year because I want this video to be watchable in the future, and who knows when the world will end and we will receive the sweet blessing of non-existence thanks to entropy. Where was I? Oh yeah, in 2025 we had a somewhat lukewarm EVO in regards to new announcements. While in the past we had heavyweights like Geese Howard in Tekken 7, Johnny returning to the Guilty Gear franchise, or the sheer madness that was the announcement of Terry Bogard and Mai Shiranui in Street Fighter 6, this year we had Short Stack Cutie for food fetishists in Tekken 8. So, this morning I was having my breakfast. 3 eggs mixed with my long-forgotten dreams and aspirations, and watching a video from the channel True Underdog Gaming, in which he discussed the disappointment over Tekken 8's new character and why is it so hard for gaming companies to create new fighters. I'll leave the link in the description. If you enjoy fighting games, you're gonna love his content. Now, in his video he discussed that a lot of modern fighting characters are merely retreads of former ideas. For example, the Kombat Kid from the Mortal Kombat series. Jackie Briggs is Jax, Sun's the personality and turned into a girl, and Cassie Cage is an amalgam of Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade, who had a lot of sass during her debut in MKX, but lost it in the next game and turned into generic fighting college-aged girl. In Tekken we have Falafel. Carbuncle? How do you that huge Muay Thai fighter who's pretty much Sagat, only without charisma or gravitas, and the new fighter from Madagascar who just looks like Christy Monteiro version 1.3, version 1.2 being Katarina in Tekken 7. In fact, True Underdog Gaming is not the only one who has this opinion. I was discussing with a friend right after EVO and he was unloading, not in the way you're thinking, take your mind off the gutter, on the new Tekken 8 character. My friend said, if they are going to add a chocolate waifu for all the gooners in the audience, why not just bring Christy Monteiro back? All this got me thinking. Yep, modern fighting games are dealing with a major lack of creativity when trying to deliver us new characters. Now, I'm not a game designer, but I'm a writer. So far, I haven't had anything published, but I'm working on 2 books right now, and one day I'm going to become bigger than Stephen King! My books have no child orgies, so I got that going for me. Anyway, since I truly enjoy writing and analyzing characters, I have a fair grasp on what makes a creation interesting or not for an audience. Let's start by pointing out this. Fighting games are celebrations of their characters. In the past, players didn't have a lot of time to select a character. You'd go into an arcade, choose a machine, pop a quarter in it, and then you had nanoseconds to choose who to play with, or the cabinet would do it for you. Characters had to be visually distinct and able to catch your eye in a glimpse. Thanks to that, developers had to resort to clear archetypes and build upon that foundation. You could play as generic hero man, like Ryu or Liu Kang, hot Asian vixen, exemplified by Chun-Li and Mai Shiranui, aggressively American dude bro like Gaio and Terry Bogard, bizarre Brazilian, i.e. Blanca and Gorio, and then there is Rasputin from World Heroes. There is nothing like Rasputin from World Heroes. Thanks to that, we got attached to these characters. What pros refer today as a main is nothing more than a character that appealed to you visually at first, then cemented their place in your heart thanks to their mechanics. You may enjoy Chun-Li's lightning-fast style and combo capabilities, but what attracted you to her at first were her thighs, your need to feel your head being crushed between them, and the necessity to strategically pause the game during her spinning bar kick. That said, a lot of animosity is invited from players whenever a developer decides to unceremoniously retire a beloved character. Remember when Michael Evans and Pete Rosas from Capcom said that the X-Men wouldn't be in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite because nobody remembered them? Then topped it off by saying that players care for mechanics, not characters, and wouldn't miss, say, Magneto, one of the most beloved characters in the Marvel games, because Ultron and Captain Marvel had similar mechanics to him? No, really? Dude, you think Captain Marvel and Magneto are on the same league of... I can't even... I don't need to tell anyone what a failure Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was, or do I? Then came the lore. At first, we only cared to know fighting game characters in a passing way. All we had were their files in attract mode and their endings. Chun-Li wanted to avenge her father, then go crazy on Dick once her mission was finished. E. Honda wanted to prove the world that being morbidly obese was a form of martial art. And Ryu wanted to walk into the sun, oblivious to the fact that it is impossible to go from Earth into a star by foot. Thing is, as fighting games became more popular in the 1990s, their creators decided to invest in new areas. Comic books, animation, movies, and thus, the casts of said games had their lores drastically expanded, in many cases saving them from obscurity. A clear example of that is Kano. Nobody liked Kano, his mother didn't like him. He was just a bald dude with a metal eye who threw knives. Everyone has one of those in their neighborhood, especially if you live in Ireland. Then came the Mortal Kombat movie. Trevor Goddard, may God rest his soul, played Kano, made him brutally Australian and charmingly smug, and BAM! He's a fan favorite now. You take a charismatic character with an interesting lore and add some fun mechanics into them. It has to be balanced. A cool character doesn't survive the audience scrutiny if he or she is terrible to play with. Remember Larson Tyler or Shadow Yamato from Eternal Champions? Remember anyone from Eternal Champions? Do you remember Eternal Champions? No? See my point? A fighting game needs to be fun for people to want to play it. For that to happen, characters need to have good mechanics. As previously stated, I am not a game designer, so I have no idea of what actually consists of a good mechanic, but I got a professional to explain in detail what that entails.
See, to be completely real...
Thank you! You handsome, handsome man! So, to create a new character, video game producers have to balance out eye-grasping visuals, fun gameplay, and interesting lore. We are past the days of the fighty man versus the ninja fella. Or maybe not. We are getting a new Virtua Fighter after all, and that series is peak generic dude versus no brand gal. Nevertheless, it's a very intricate process to deliver an interesting fighting game character, and one that doesn't always pay out. And it has to pay out. Video games are investments, and every time a company releases a new DLC character into a fighting game, it's a financial bet. Okay, I never worked in the production of a fighting game in my entire life, but I talked to people who did, and they pretty much made it clear to me that the main thing behind creating new characters are the costs involved in that. Video game costs ballooned in the past years. Back in, as I like to call it, the day, video games consisted on pixels on a screen that kept children away from sticking forks into toasters for a few hours. Those were relatively cheap to produce. You just locked a programmer on a dark room for 3 months with a can of Spam for sustenance, and he would come out of that place with a Mega Man 2 in his hands. Now, games cost a fortune to produce. You need to lock an entire army of programmers inside a fortress with a few cans of Monster and hope they'll come out with a worthy AAA on their hands. As modern titles proved, that happens less and less every year. I have no idea of what Street Fighter 6 budget was, but I am sure it was bigger than the GDP of certain countries. Every new character is a risk. Programmers and producers spend months of labor and small fortunes writing, developing, and refining every single character that adorns a season pass. If people hate a new character, they are less inclined to buy them, or the season pass. Sure, people who play competitively might still acquire said character to understand its mechanics and better prepare for online play, but the casuals, who consist of a considerable slice of consumers, might not. A new character like A.K.I was made by a small legion of people: concept artists, illustrators, writers, voice actors both in English and Japanese, animators, the team responsible for her marketing, programmers. That's a lot of mouths to feed and a lot of money out of Capcom's pocket. If players dislike her for any reason whatsoever, it can be a notable financial loss for the company. And boy, Capcom more than anyone took a lot of hits in the past few years regarding new characters in their fighting games. Starting with Street Fighter 4, we had A.K.I, C.Viper, El Fuerte, and Rufus. Now, I like C.Viper. I think she looks awesome. Her gameplay makes her feel like a King of Fighters character who ended up in Street Fighter by mistake, and I find that really cool. But not many people warmed up to her like I did. On the other hand, we have El Fuerte, who tries to be funny but is as amusing as a paper cut between the fingers, and Rufus, who is the fighting game equivalent of a peptic ulcer. Also, there is A.K.I, who was poised as the new hero of Street Fighter 4. If people were sandwiches, A.K.I would be an empty wrapper. Sure, Super Street Fighter 4 remedied all that by giving us a crazy goth waifu who never washes her feet and has some clearly unresolved daddy issues, which turn her into an immediate fan favorite. Capcom should have learned their lesson by then, but didn't, so much so that Street Fighter V gave us Necalli and Fang. Now, while I detest Necalli as much as I detest waking up in a dirty motel room with my vital organs missing, God knows that happens a lot, I always thought that Fang was a good idea poorly executed. Some tall, lanky, and flamboyant dude with a screechy voice who is the Starscream to Bison's Megatron? Brilliant idea! If only they did it right. Fang is comical to the point he becomes a pastiche. It's hard to take him seriously as a villain when he seems like a methed up version of Nostalgia Critic. Now, if he was more like Spoonie, then we would have a great new villain in our hands. You wanna know how Fang would be if he was done right? He would be A.K.I from Street Fighter 6. Comical, yes, but so weird she becomes scary. Yes, the solution for Fang was to make him into a waifu. Waifu is the solution to all of life's problems. Street Fighter 6 took that ball and scored a home run with it. They gave us Olympic ballerina waifu, Thanos-sized waifu, fun-sized waifu, chocolate ninja waifu, and Reddit moderator waifu. And God knows how many more waifus we're getting until they are done with Street Fighter 6. I'm being humorous, obviously, but I am also making a point. Why do you think that most newcomers in Street Fighter 6 are women? It's financially safer to introduce a cute or hot girl in the game, and even those who don't play with said character might find them attractive enough to warrant the acquisition of a few figurines. That said, it's no surprise we have new characters who are just variations of older ones. At the start of this video, I mentioned Katarina from Tekken 7. When I first chose her, I was surprised to find out she was not Christy Monteiro, since she looks exactly like the capoeira fighter, and they are both even Brazilian. So why the hell not just bringing Monteiro, a fan favorite, back? Well, if I had to guess, this is where creative and financial clashed. The creative team came up with a new character, a savate fighter with a no-nonsense persona. People at Namco's financial side were worried that the new character with Katarina's generic hardened woman looking for her missing father background would not attract players. So, to reach a compromise and have the new character greenlit, creative decided to make her look like an established character from the past. This applies to a lot of newcomers who aren't exactly new. Looking back at the Kombat kids, the most popular amongst them, and the only one that returned in MK1, is Takeshi Takeda, a fusion of Scorpion, the unquestioned GOAT of the Mortal Kombat franchise, and Kenshi, the most beloved 3D era character. Coincidence?
I think not.
So there. Every completely new character is a financial risk, and if there is one thing Corpo Borpos hate, is risk. Why do you think we have been drowning in superhero movies for the past 25 years? It's much safer to bet on an established idea than take an uncertain bet. In the case of fighting games, a producer will prefer to bring back a beloved character than to try a completely new one that might become hated in the community and make them lose a lot of money, both in development costs and in merchandise that will not sell. That also explains why we are getting so many guest characters in the genre nowadays, from Akuma in Tekken to Omni-Man in Mortal Kombat 1. Guest characters give developers the chance to try new things, while bringing brand recognition from a different popular IP. 2B has absolutely fantastic gameplay in SoulCalibur 6, but would people care about it so much if said gameplay were given to a completely new character? A new character that didn't have an ass composed of 10,000 polygons? Sure, not all guest characters are created equal. I personally detest choices like Homelander and Peacemaker, mostly because they will make MK1 feel terribly dated in a few years. It feels to me that suits at the company were the only ones choosing these characters. Homelander because he is one of, if not the most popular character of a hit TV show, and Peacemaker because Warner Brothers owns the character and they wanna make him happen in movies and TV shows and whatever else they can think of. Yes, we had guest characters in the past Mortal Kombat, but differently from characters like Jason Voorhees and the Predator who have been popular for decades, I don't see a lot of people caring for Homelander or Peacemaker a decade from now. If you disagree, answer me this. How many conversations you had with people about Game of Thrones in the past 6 months? I rest my case, Your Honor. Would you care if Jaime Lannister was announced as DLC for Smash Bros? I doubt your reaction would be anything other than a resounding eh. Also, I feel like I'll open the gates to hell with my next comment, but I don't consider Smash Bros a fighting game. In my opinion, it's a party game and nobody can change my mind about that. So, what do you guys think? Do you agree that new characters are now being created more by corporate mandates than real artists? Do you disagree and believe we are in a period of cultural renaissance where new fighters are more creative than ever? Do you think I'm just a noob who never reached silver on ranked matches on Street Fighter 6? Leave a comment, I read all of them. Yes, really, I read them and I'll send you a kiss and a pie if I happen to like what you wrote. So, this is it for today. I'll see you guys next time, which I hope will come sooner. I am almost finishing Baldur's Gate 3, so there won't be an excuse for my lateness next time. Until then, take care of yourselves and everyone you love. Cheers!